everybody. How is it going? I am here with my friend Anthony from Pickfu. And you guys know how much I teach about market research. How I'm like, if you're just going to find a product and develop a product based on just bad reviews, and you're going to find a product on product research software, and you're really flying blind because you don't know what the market wants. And I know some of the biggest questions that people ask is they say, well, Amy, how can I be sure that someone's going to like that design change that I do, or someone is going to actually buy that product that I bring to market? And this is exactly what we're talking about today. Having confidence in your launches and your design decisions and getting feedback from real customers about their opinions. And so it's cool. Pikfu is the perfect tool to do that. And today we're going to have an amazing live demo for you so that you can see what this tool is all about. And yeah, you can utilize it if you'd like to. So Anthony, for those, you're everywhere all the time, but for those people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Pikfu.
Sure thing. So first off, thanks for having me here, Amy. Really excited to be talking in front of your group. I know it's one of the top in the entire space, and it's really, really awesome to see so many people jumping into selling on Amazon. And so a little bit of my background is I started off my professional career working for Amazon. I worked in operations management in Houston, then also Tampa. About a year and a half after working there, a good friend of mine asked if I wanted to quit my job and help him scale a creative agency around conversion optimization. So I moved out to the Philippines and did that for a couple of years. And then now I work for this company called Pikfu, which is all about market research for Amazon sellers. So I get to work with some of our biggest clients and help build case studies with different consultants and agencies in the industry.
Yay. Well, I first heard about Pikfu going to different conferences. Pikfu would always be there. And I, of course, in my courses and everything, I teach to use tools like Google surveys and, Amazon's Mechanical Turk. You can do surveys and target specific customers. But what's cool about Pikfu is it brings visualization to that survey. I think better than some of the other survey tools that are out there. And you guys have an incredible database of people to be able to target and survey. Can you talk about that for a minute? Like how many people, like if I set up a survey on Pikfu, how many people can I target and what is that audience made out of?
Yeah, so that's one of the really big things that differentiates Pikfu from almost anyone else in the space is the ability to target selected demographics. And so you can pick your target group based on shopping preference. So maybe an Amazon Prime customer, people who have contributed to a crowdfunding campaign before, as well as a whole bunch of different things like gender, age range, income, ethnicity, if they drink wine, if they exercise. And so we've been building these audiences over almost 8 years. There's 10,000 people on our panel. They're all based in the United States. And then the other thing, which makes us a little bit different from, even the other services you chatted about before, is we really curate our audience. So people apply to get into our panel, and we only take about half the people that apply. And then even after they've made it on, we're always kind of based on the feedback of our clients. We're always, if people don't give responses that are helpful, we remove people all the time. And so we're really curating that so every response is very helpful.
Got it. Because you pay the surveyors, right? The people that participate in these surveys. So they're getting paid for their work. People do this for a living. And that's okay. It's a great way to make a living from home. It's a great way to make an extra living. And a lot of people do that. But I love how you're taking the extra time to really make sure that I don't think any other of the survey programs do that so well. I know one of my clients recently did a survey on Mechanical Turk, and some of the responses were just like you said, completely unhelpful, and just like they weren't even paying attention to the product that we were asking about, or, so I think there's pros and cons for every service, and hopefully today. So speaking of today, let's get people excited to stick on the call and see what we're going to be going over. So what are you going to show us today, Anthony?
So I'm going to do two things today. Well, actually three things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a really quick demo. I want people, sometimes people are a little bit nervous about using Pikfu. And so we're actually going to start a test live here on the show. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a very quick presentation on what is Pikfu. A lot of sellers have heard the name before. They're like, that's kind of weird. I've heard people say I should be using it, but how does it actually work? What should I be doing? And then the third thing is we're going to give away some Pikfu credits at the end. So you definitely want to be here on this live stream. We're going to be giving away quite a few Pikfu credits. So yeah, that's what's on the agenda, I guess.
I like free stuff. All right, let's do it. So let's get into it. Why don't you share your screen, Anthony, and show us what you got?
Okay, sounds good. So Amy, let me know if you can see that on your end.
I can. It looks great.
All right, so the presentation, we'll do that in a minute, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a real test on Pikfu. And so just to show everyone how easy this is, I'm here at pikfu.com. All you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to click new poll, right? And let's see, just taking a second to load there. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a really realistic example, and that is I'm going to get some feedback on a main image. So I've got some ones saved here from a very hot product this year. I wouldn't necessarily recommend selling this product, but this is a surgical mask. And in this case, it's going to be a surgical mask that comes in a pack of 50. And so let's imagine that I'm a seller. I want to break into this category. And so I've gone and I've taken 3 of the top images that are showing up on the first page of search results. And I want to find out, okay, what can I learn from these 3 images to see what do people like? What do people not like? And how could I go to my creative team or my photographer and get something that's even better?
Well, and I think a lot of people, they wonder about like the placement, either where to put packaging or if they should even show packaging in a main photo. And so it's so awesome that you can get immediate feedback from customers. That's really cool.
Absolutely, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do today is I've clicked votes and explanations. I've typed in my question, which image do you prefer for this 50 pack of surgical face masks? Just giving a little bit of context to the panel so that they know what we're looking at. And then, like you said, I've got a face mask with the packaging, just the face mask, and then a face mask with the stack of the masks in the background. So I've built my question. Now I'm going to go to my audience. Again, if I really knew a lot about my audience, I could pick, maybe I want only males age 30 who have a high exercise frequency that are into mobile gaming. In this case, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to click an Amazon Prime member. And I'm just going to start the poll. That's literally as simple as it is. Really, really straightforward. And then while this thing is running, your poll is running, what's kind of cool here is up on the tab. I'm a very impatient person. So this will actually automatically update as the responses come in. And so I kind of like to have that up while I'm working. But I'm going to jump into the presentation now, and you'll see, we'll come back to the poll in just a minute, and you'll see just how fast it is.
And so, Anthony, I think one of the biggest reasons people are nervous about using polls and stuff like this is because they're so scared to put their product ideas out there, especially if I really differentiated something and I did the market research and I have a really great idea. They're so worried about putting these polls out there and other people finding out about their idea. So how do you guys deal with that? How do you try to put their mind at ease about that?
It's a good question, right? And so something, obviously, it's really important. Every person on the Pikfu panel, they're bound by a non-disclosure agreement, and it's a really tight non-disclosure agreement. On top of that, the whole panel, before they're accepted to be on the panel, they go through some training and they're told, hey, you're making decisions for real businesses here, so you need to give thoughtful responses. You need to be confidential with this. So you don't have to worry. That's one of the advantages of Pikfu is you don't have to worry about any of your information or your product ideas making it out to the public.
Right. So you can do a private poll that is only going out to these people who basically take surveys for a living and are very used. And I think when people think, oh man, they're taking surveys for a living, so they're not thoughtful responses. But you have to remember, every human being out there has experiences, life experiences. And when Pikfu is bringing these surveyed folks onto their team, they are not just, they're giving information about those life experiences so that you can target them, so that you can trust their opinions. I saw wine drinkers on there, female wine drinkers. Well, if they are female wine drinkers, they're going, and you're selling a wine glass or something, or a wine accessory, they're going to be able to provide you with feedback that is going to help you move forward versus just every, person, every Amazon Prime member, right? Which is the reason that you do that. But sometimes people worry about surveys, and people doing surveys for a living, not providing thoughtful responses. And I think that you guys have done a good job of combating that. And I think that people should think about, like, hey, it doesn't mean that just because they take a survey and get paid for it, that they don't have valuable feedback and valuable life experiences to contribute to your survey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point there as well. And so I'm going to jump right in now. This is just kind of the essential framework. Again, a lot of people have heard about Pikfu, so we'll answer the question, what is Pikfu? The one thing I do want to say is, if you've never used Pikfu before, if you're jumping into it, use the code Amazing at Home. You'll get 50% off of your first test. We usually don't give away too many discount codes, but this is a really good one. And you can use either Amazing at Home or go to pikfu.com/Amazing at Home. But yeah, without any further ado, here is what is Pikfu. Like we've been talking about today, Pikfu is DIY market research. So you've got an idea, you can show that idea to our panel of more than 10,000 people. They're all real, they're based in the United States, and you can get real feedback. And so when I usually talk to sellers and I say, hey, where are you currently going to get feedback? The most common things I hear is, first, people, again, talking about their family. They're going to their partner, their spouse, and they're saying, hey, babe, what do you think about my product packaging? Another really common one is sellers going with their self-intuition, kind of going with their gut, or people asking friends, maybe random strangers, maybe before COVID, tapping on the person in front of them at Starbucks and saying, hey, what do you think about this branding? What do you think about my image?
This is my number one rule. I say never ask your close friends and family, especially not your mom, because she loves you and she's going to tell you that your product is great.
That's 100% right. There's nothing particularly wrong with any of these methods. It's just that the feedback you're getting might be really biased, or in a lot of our scenarios as sellers, I know with products I've sold in the past, sometimes you're selling into a market where you are the diametrically opposite of the market you're trying to sell in. And so what do you do as a seller to actually go and get feedback? Well, you have to think about using a more legitimate way of getting feedback beyond your own little bubble. And so that's kind of where Pikfu comes in. It allows you to stop guessing and start knowing. And what makes it really different from a few other split testing tools, first and foremost, is you can actually drill down to that targeted audience, right? So what we were talking before, you can pick very specific groups. The other real big advantage is that it's really fast. And so Mechanical Turk was mentioned a few times today. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can get consumer feedback, but I don't think any of them are out there as fast as Pikfu. So it might take days or weeks before you get results. Pikfu, we pride ourselves on being really quick. So most results are going to come in within 30 minutes to an hour. But what I like the most is that you're getting detailed feedback. So people aren't just voting, do I like option A or option B? Everyone's required to give detailed feedback as to why. That's really where the real magic comes through. We already chatted about this a little bit, but just to make it very clear, Pikfu is 100% private. So any of the examples I show today, we have special permission to share. You don't have to worry about your product ideas getting out. This is a little bit of what the UI looks like. Most people are testing 2 options at a time. You'll notice here, this is a main image test with 4 options. You can actually test up to 8 options, and you can put in anything you want. You can do text, you can do video, audio, images, whatever creative asset you're trying to get feedback on. But this, again, is really where I say the magic happens. I don't care so much about, does option B get 56% of the votes? I really want to dive into the feedback and try to figure out, okay, what's the reason why option B won? And what can I learn from that to guide my creative process and make my images, make my copy, whatever it might be, to make it even better. Market research, though, is nothing new, right? Major brands have been doing this since the beginning of time. They've just been spending a ton of money on it. So when a brand like Nike or Under Armour, when they launch a product, they're spending 45 to 75 grand or more US dollars per product just to get feedback. And it makes sense as to why, right? They're investing all this time and money and capital and labor hours into launching a product. They want to make sure when they put something out to market that, number one, they're not making huge mistakes, but number two, that the product is as optimized and it's going to hit as well as possible. And so for the vast majority of sellers, even people who have built million-dollar brands or multi-million-dollar brands, many sellers are still not really thinking about market testing as an essential component of the business. The good news with Pikfu, though, is it's you don't have to spend that much money. It starts at just $50. And basically what we're seeing is even the larger brands are roughly allocating about 1% of their gross revenue to saying, I'm going to dedicate this to market research. And it really makes sense as to why. So with that being said, I'm going to walk through, these are the most common tests that we're seeing people run. First and foremost, if you're early on in your launch process, initial USP concepting. And so I really love giving this example, the one in the top left, because you might do your product research and Helium 10 might say, hey, breakfast and bed trays are hot. But how do you know? Should I sell it in the light wood grain? Should I sell it in the dark wood grain? Same thing with product bonus items or inclusions, right? You can go and ask Pikfu, hey, would be adding this webcam cover to the security cam, would that actually, is this a product inclusion that you would use? Does it make it more valuable? Or is it like adding the resistance bands to the leggings? It's nice to have on there, but it doesn't really help the leggings work any better. A really good example as well, this was for a pack of eco-friendly party plates. And it's interesting because I ran this test before COVID really started and people were saying the quantity they wanted to buy was 100 pack. But actually now, who's selling 100 pack? I mean, who's going to parties with 100 people at it? And so this, if you're having a 500, 1,000 unit MOQ, this is something that you would not want to get wrong, quantity pricing on multi-pack items. This is another really cool example of something that people have used Pikfu for, and that's pre-creative direction. And so this was from a case study that's coming out this February that we did with Kevin King. He was selling this travel-sized hand sanitizer. And so what the creative agencies that were competing on working on this listing actually did is they went and tested a few different scenarios with stock images to see what scenario would people be using this travel hand sanitizer. And the one that people liked the most was this one here of the person pulling the sanitizer out of a purse. And so now the prior to doing the lifestyle shoot, which is very cost intensive, very labor intensive, they knew that they were going to try to recreate this shot. This is the one that people felt the biggest connection to, and then try to create a better version of that same image.
Yeah, that was a fun little contest to participate in.
I'm very excited. Amy was part of it. Absolutely.
I wonder who won that contest. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun. I was like, hand sanitizer, what are we going to do with this? But we definitely had fun with it. It was awesome.
But yeah, so yeah, we're really excited for that one to come out. We're always working on new case studies. And so just another quick example of how you can use Pikfu. Last, and this is probably the most common, is doing some kind of creative audit. And so that is like when you are actually getting close on putting the images on your listing, making small little tweaks and changes to figure out how can something be better. And so again, this is for the hand sanitizer, an infographic trying to say how much hand sanitizer you should actually use. And you'll notice that the difference between these graphics, it's very small, very minute, but there's strong preferences that people have towards each of these. And this is, again, where Pikfu can help you refine your creative assets and make them resonate even better with your audience. So generally what we're seeing is people running about 3 to 5 tests per creative concept, and then maybe as much as 20 or 30 tests for a listing. Again, if you're just launching, if you're just starting out, that might be on the high end, but this is more for brands that are already doing significant amount of sales, and you can really see a big difference in using market research like Pikfu. So the point though is that even if you're brand new, you will start seeing an ROI even just with a single test. And so what I recommend doing is just running a test, starting with your first one, analyzing feedback, making adjustments, and then repeat as needed. The last thing I'll say here, and then we'll go back to the poll which is running, is if you're sitting there today and you're thinking, hey, maybe market research, maybe I really don't need this. Maybe it's really not that valuable. Look, don't take my word for it. There's this little company you might have heard of named Thrasio. They raised more, they're almost, I think, at $3 billion in terms of valuation. In fact, one of the fastest profitable companies to reach unicorn status. And they have a fantastic team, and they use Pikfu. And we actually did a case study with them last year, and they acquired this brand, Angry Orange, and they acquired it for $2 million. And what they use Pikfu in this case study for is they optimize the product packaging using Pikfu, and they Sorry, this phone's just ringing. One second.
You're in a hotel right now, aren't you? You're like traveling.
Hey, I'll bring up. Okay. So sorry. So we just ordered some food delivery and they call every time and they won't.
Yummy.
Okay. So back on track. So they optimized this product packaging using Pikfu, went through a whole bunch of different options, and then ended up on the packaging on the right. And just from doing that, I think they ran, I don't even know how many Pikfu tests they ran, but it was a lot. But they came up with different versions. And then just from that, they optimized that and grew that brand from $2 to $20 million.
I mean, the branding, right? It is so strong. Like the first one, it looks like they made it themselves. They created that label themselves, like on a PowerPoint slide or something. Like it's just like a completely different branding on this packaging. And that is, it makes sense. It makes sense why they went from 2 million to 20 million.
Absolutely.
And how much do you think they probably spent in the research to upgrade the brand? Probably a fraction, maybe a couple $1,000s max to upgrade the packaging, get new designs, get feedback, and look at the result in, multi-million-dollar results here from a couple of $1,000s in investment of R&D and upgrading packaging and everything. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a tiny investment. And this stuff really does work, right? Major brands have been using it for the longest time. And so that's why I say, don't take my word for it. This team is really quite talented. And we have a testimonial video on our website. You can check it out. But you'll see their VP of brand strategy, John, saying that they use Pikfu for almost every major creative decision. So if you haven't used Pikfu, I would encourage giving it at least a try. See if you like it. I'm sure that you will. I'm sure you'll see some good ROI in your business. And then use that code amazing at home and you'll get 50% off your first test.
So speaking of 50% off your first test, how much does one test cost me on Pikfu? I can pick any kind of test that I want and target as many people as I want, right? But how much does that one test cost me?
Sure thing. So the test, everything starts at $1 per response. There's a minimum of 50 responses. So it's going to start out at $50 a test. So really not expensive at all in the grand scheme of things. And then, if you use 50% off your first test, you'll get, as little as 25 bucks.
Very cool. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to go over here. This test, as you'll notice here, this is my favorite feature, plus 42. So we have gotten 42 new responses. We've only been talking for maybe about 20 minutes. And so I'm going to click here, load 42 new responses. We've got 8 people who are answering the poll right now. And now I'm going to scroll down. And so what I'll do, Amy, is I'm going to share this with you in the chat right now. And maybe if you want to share it with the group, they can go through it. Anyone who wants can go and read these responses and check things out. I'll highlight a few interesting things. Now, I've run this test before because I like this example and I don't like to give anyone too many good product ideas, but I've seen this before. And so I've got an idea of kind of what the responses are going to be like, but what you're going to find is not super surprising. Again, we've got 3 different versions of this here. And we've got one with the packaging, one with the standalone mask, and then one with the stack of masks. Again, I don't really care as much that this has 67% of the votes. I want to scroll down and I want to figure out why is that. And so a few features that I'll note here before starting to go through some responses is that you can hover over each of the individuals and it'll show you, okay, this person here, age 35 to 44, education, graduate degree, ethnicity, white, income 61 to 100K, gender, male. And so I can go down and I can see these. A couple other features are I can click here to pin the responses. So let's say I want to share this with, a creative team. I can pin the responses and then share that link. And then the other thing that is really interesting here is I've got either this helpful or not helpful. And so let's say we get to a response, and we're like, hey, this is garbage. You can click not helpful. And then you can say, hey, this is gibberish or this is not enough detail. And that actually helps us. We've got a machine learning algorithm over the past 8 years. We've been training it. And so it actually automatically detects these responses. And people who give helpful responses are given a little bonus. And then not helpful responses, those people are just taken out of the panel. Last 2 things I'll say is you can ask a follow-up question. So if you want some more detail, you can ask that same person a question and they'll respond. And then you can also scroll down to the bottom and we've got some charts that break down the responses by the demographic features that were pre-selected.
Wow, that's really cool. And I love how obvious it is at the very top. You know, people tend to like the packaging because for me, it's a trust factor. This is been a lot of, we just heard that 3M sold like billions of dollars of fake N95 masks, right? So trust is a major factor. And obviously they want to see that packaging in there, knowing that this is not just any old person selling a mask. They want to see that professional packaging. So I love that just really is confirmed here, you know? And if you wanted to, if you already knew that packaging, showing the packaging was really, really important, and you got the feedback from option B, you could conduct another test now based on this. So, okay, option A1, but which you could put the packaging in different layouts, and you could put the mask kind of in front of it or to the side, and you could run another poll to determine the best possible optimized image based on kind of like you did with the Germ Shark listing, right? So
Absolutely.
Really cool.
And even if you go down and you start looking at some of the feedback, right? Like for this one on the right-hand side, option C, it's saying, I prefer the open mask in the stack because it looks like you're getting a lot, right? People like to see how many are being displayed. You know, they like seeing, hey, this, you can see it up close and it's zoomed in on the mask. And then like you're saying, people like about the packaging. So what I might do is if I'm trying to sell a similar product, I'm going to figure out, okay, what are the three things that the main theme of each of these options? And what I might try to do is have one with the mask really big up front, with the packaging on the side, and then maybe the stack of masks in the background.
Yes.
And then test it against these and see, can I actually beat the top competitors using an optimized design?
Exactly. I love it. That's exactly it. Just seeing those responses and being able to tell like, hey, you know, they really like seeing the stack. I agree. When I first looked at the stack picture, I was like, oh, it does look like you're getting a lot. But then I was thinking, but I really like seeing the packaging there. So I love that. If I was the seller of that, I would love getting those responses kind of confirming my thoughts. And it's not just a vote, it's an explanation alongside of it. And then I can go back and I could respond to that person who said, I like seeing the stack. And I could respond and say, okay, but does the packaging being in the picture, in the other picture, have any meaning to you as far as your trust in the product? So I could go back to that person who picked the stack and say, should I include the packaging? And, you know, if I can, should I include the packaging? And so with that same test, you wouldn't even have to necessarily run another test. You could go back and ask those respondents questions, right? And really kind of finalize your decision based on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Well, this has been super, super helpful. Thank you so much. What kind of food did you order? That's what I want to know.
I think I'm not 100% sure. My girlfriend orders food and then I'm like, what? I always kind of forget. I think it's pasta. Yeah. We haven't really been leaving too much. We're here in Brazil. And so we're doing a lot of takeout, trying to stay safe. And then we're moving to the countryside in like a week from now. So.
Well, with a last name like Cofrancesco, it seems like you might be Italian or something. I don't know.
That's right.
You know, you don't use Pikfu for your food ordering decisions, but yeah, I love this presentation today, Anthony. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for watching and tuning in. This will also be available on our YouTube channel, and just let us know if you have any questions. I know Anthony's always happy to answer them, and if you need some ideas for different feedback that you could run, we're here for you, right?
Right. Wait, Amy, before we stop it, we have to give away some Pikfu credits.
Oh, I almost forgot about the free stuff. I'm terrible at this. Okay.
So I don't know how we should do it, but what's worked in the past is like people can leave a comment down below, maybe about what they would use Pikfu to test for. What we'll do is we're going to give away 3 Pikfu credits for, I think my math is right, for $300. One's going to be for a $150 credit. Another second place is going to be for $100, and then a $50 credit. And so maybe like we'll just give people a day or so, and then we'll kind of randomly pick one with a number generator. And
okay, so let's give direct instructions, because this video is being shared across my Seller Roundtable channels, my Amazing at Home channels, and in all the Facebook groups. So yes, the rules are as follows for all of you catching either the replay or this live. I need you to go to facebook.com/amazingathome to that live video page, the original live before the share. And that's where I want you to comment. And what are they supposed to comment, Anthony?
So what they should comment is a way that they would use a Pikfu test. So just a way that they would use Pikfu in their business. You don't have to say your product idea, but just what's one way that you might use it for yourself if you won the credits, and then just comment that on the Facebook page on this post. Yeah.
Perfect. So, and then I will report the first 3 comments to that.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we we'll give people 24 hours to comment, and then we'll go through and we'll use a random number generator. We'll pick someone at random. So your answer doesn't matter, but you do have to comment.
Okay.
That way we give people some time to.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so we'll do random. We'll pick a random result, but so go ahead. You have just as big a chance of winning if you do it now or you do it in 24 hours, because I know a lot of our audience is sleeping right now. So that's very fair. I like it. I like that random poll results. So very good. Okay, well, thank you so much, Anthony. Anything else that I forgot?
Just use the code AmazingAtHome and you'll get 50% off.
I mean, that's so easy. Yeah. And I put the link to our Pikfu product page. So in case anybody needs it, I mean, 50% off is pretty good. $25 to run a test and get valuable results that could make you a lot of money. That's reasonable. All right. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for being here. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. And I can't wait to see your ideas for how to run these surveys. Awesome.
Thanks, Amy.
Okay, my friend, enjoy the pasta. I'm about to go eat some lunch myself. I'm hungry.
All right.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.